Hey guys, what's up? Flex Tango here to talk about the OHM situation. Once again, we're going to be breaking down a few of OHM's recent tweets, breaking down things he twisted around, but also reiterating some previous points. Per the usual, if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit notifications. Also, if this is the first video on the OHM situation from my channel that you are watching, you should probably go back and watch the first 4 videos. You don't really need to watch the 5th one, but maybe for context you would want to before watching this particular video. This video is going to be more of an update type video, once again going over some details that some may see as a side quest in the OHM Delirious saga of information, but I think it's important nonetheless. In the last video we talked about members of the TJV's Discord getting hacked. There were certain people assuming that it was people working for OHM, if not OHM himself. There was also evidence to support the claim that someone was sneaking into TJV's Discord to take people's information and hack them. OHM didn't know anything about it. He thought they were making it up, but he made sure to say, hey, just in case this is real, go check the logs from Twitter. It will give you the information on, who done it and where they were. The problem was when people went to go check the logs, Twitter would say, hey, we can't really give you any more information. There really isn't more information we can find on who accessed your account. But as I pointed out in my last video, there is no more evidence to say that OHM is responsible in any way for these hacking instances than there is evidence to say that Delirious was the person who anonymously threatened Sarah's child. So to make the assumption of either, or to say that either accusations are 100% true, would be laughably irresponsible. Correlation does not equal causation, but the other problem was that members of the TJV's Discord were being banned from OHM streams just because they were acquainted with TJV. OHM said that was not the case, that anybody banned was banned for breaking certain rules, but this person's ban notice from OHM stream clearly states that they were banned for their connections to TJV. So that right there kind of showed that OHM was not telling the truth, or was trying to twist the truth into something that didn't seem so bad, or he really just didn't know what he was talking about. One girl, Ari, was specifically banned for accusation of doxing or having connections with doxers. Now, in 2013, Ari did have an instance where she doxed somebody. And that person was Sai, one of the alleged victims of Delirious that OHM has been talking to and even had an interview with on his vlog channel. Sai was an admitted doxer back in the day. She would just openly threaten people with doxing or hacking their information. Her and Ari were apparently friends, and then they had a falling out, and Sai doxed Ari. And then Ari, in retaliation, in return, doxed Sai. Now that was around 8 years ago, and Ari has left that part of her life well behind her and never talked about it again until she had a private stream last month with a few members of the TJV Discord. And she talked about that story in reference to her connections with Sai. That's the only place she had talked about it. And she had been following OHM's Twitch for a while with no issue. But right after she talked about it in that private stream, she was hit with a notification that, hey, you're being banned for having connections with doxers. Meaning someone in contact with one of OHM's moderators somehow spied on that private stream where Ari had told her story, but it's kind of messed up that the moderator used Ari's story to ban her from the streams because she had connections with a known doxer, especially when that doxer that she's getting banned for having connections to is Sai. Part of the reason for her getting banned was for her connection to Sai. While at the same time, OHM isn't cutting off his own connection to Sai. It just seemed kind of crazy, but he does actually tweet in replying to people bringing that up. People were kind of coming at OHM last week, and there were a couple of threads where he replied. Someone asked a question regarding people being banned for their connection to TJV. OHM then says, I was streaming when this other stream that was doxing or harassing people involved was live. A mod banning people from that stream in my chat was fine. They tried to make it out to be some illegal activity and even mass reported it to Twitch, allegedly. Unreal. So a few things on this tweet. He claimed that the stream was live when these bans happened, and in that stream people were actively doxing and threatening other people. Now, by all accounts of the small group of individuals that were actually in that stream, that is not true in the slightest. And I only saw one ban notification mentioning doxing, and that was for Ari. The other people who were banned and received weird notifications was that they were banned because they had connections to TJV. Now, this could mean that OHM really didn't know all the details, and he's just speaking on behalf of what his moderators told him. They could have totally misconstrued the story to make it sound more justified by saying, yeah, these people were in a stream and they were doxing and harassing people live, and that's why they were banned. Honestly, from this whole thing, it isn't the first time he's kind of given off that impression by the way he talked about something and not really knowing all the details, because he's being told this stuff through his moderators, and it seems that they really are leaving him in the dark and they're giving him their own interpretation of events, and he literally is just going off of what they tell him, which is really unfortunate. But he then says they tried to make it out to be some illegal activity. I watched TJV's video on the matter. I even went into his Discord and saw some conversations with Ari. Nobody was saying that you banning people from your Twitch stream was illegal. They were saying it was pretty effed up, in their opinion. Some were obviously upset, feeling as though OHM supporters were hacking their Discord, But I didn't see anybody, let alone groups of individuals, trying to insinuate to others that banning folks from your stream was breaking any laws. Which may be why he finished the tweet saying, quote, "They mass reported me, allegedly." Half of that entire tweet felt like some slight, possible hyperbolic exaggeration. He then goes on to say, "Here's just a micro example of clear bias. When I openly shared that I literally had email accounts compromised and was getting DDoSed and doxed, etc., you didn't see these biased, follow the safest road fanboy channels making videos like, hey, the Delirious community is hacking Ohm." Now, obviously the point he's trying to make here is all the people harassing him saying that he's obviously the #1 suspect of who, hacked people in TJV's Discord. They're obviously very biased because nobody claimed that Delirious was the one hacking Ohm when he was getting attacked. And honestly, I feel that's a fair point to make. And I hope he's not trying to bunch me up with those channels, because I straight away called BS on trying to lay the finger definitively on Ohm for the TJV Discord hacker. I also covered how effed up some of the threats and fake emails were that were sent to Ohm and Sarah. Ohm goes on to tell paranoid TJV fans that his followers don't even know who the hell you are and they don't care. Ohm would be more than happy to comply with any investigation to prove that he wasn't the person hacking or attacking anyone. And, that's the point I made in one of my last videos, that it would be asinine for Ohm to direct an attack or a doxing or a hacking on anybody, because there is an investigation currently going on, and he won't be exempt from where they investigate, where they stick their noses. He has no control over where they're going to be digging around. They're going to be digging all around him as well as everyone else involved. So he would have to be a complete dumbass to risk getting himself in legal trouble by ordering a hacking or commencing a hacking himself. And we can call him shady, shifty, or whatever, but he's not stupid, let alone that stupid. In another reply regarding blocking people, he states, quote, "I block people that make personal attacks and or demonstrate that they refuse to consider anything but that he, Delirious, is innocent." Right away, I can look at my example to verify that's false. One of the alleged victims, Sai, who we now know used to openly threaten and dox people, showed her driver's license and birth certificate proving that she was born in September of 1995. She claims to have met Delirious in 2012, even though the only photo she had of playing video games with him was in 2013. And even though the game they supposedly met on wasn't released until November of 2012, where she would have been 17, she claims their phone sex incident over Skype happened in the summer of 2012, where she would have been 16. But then she later claimed that she had yet to turn 16, and also retweeted a tweet from one of her supporters that was also pushing this new notion, claiming that she was 15 in 2012. The problem with that is, it's mathematically impossible. When the slight change in her story was addressed to Ohm, he claimed that we were all lying, and she never changed her story. She never said she was 15, nor did she ever tweet anything like that. I then sent him a tweet showing screenshots of where she had changed her story and now stating that she was 15, and that's when Ohm blocked me. He didn't block me for lying or threatening him or whatever the hell else, or refusing to look at evidence. He blocked me for showing him evidence of something that he didn't want to believe happened. I showed him evidence that one of the alleged victims did in fact change certain details in her story, even though Ohm himself didn't want to believe that was true. That's when he blocked me. But regardless of Ohm's inability to talk in a complete and truthful straight line, I honestly don't think he had any knowledge, let alone direct connection to individuals hacking members of the TJV Discord. I think his misguided perception on why and how people were getting banned from his Twitch streams is purely based on what twisted facts or information he was given from the moderators themselves. And by the way, TJV himself doesn't think there's anywhere close to enough evidence to suggest that Ohm is orchestrating or directing or is even responsible for the members of his Discord being hacked. And as an update from my last video, I had seen a slight change of pace in TJV's videos and how frequently he was addressing his fans to make sure that they were going to behave. And I assumed that he may have possibly been threatened or contacted in some way that alluded to a threat. But he got in contact with me saying, hey, I watched your videos, I enjoyed them. First things first, though, I wanted to let you know I was not threatened, I was not contacted in any way, and of course went on to explain that they would have no right to do so because he is obviously an opinion channel with opinion videos. And I replied letting him know that I was happy that he didn't get threatened or contacted with any type of threats in any way, and that he was totally right. There would be no real reason for anybody to come after him, just like there would be no real reason for anybody to go after Ohm regarding stupid fans on his side. And as for TJV, he has upped the amount of times per video he addresses his fans to make sure they behave and don't do anything stupid. And he also pulls people straight out of his Discord if they break any of the rules. And I let him know if anybody comes at him with some BS that, he is somehow at fault or responsible for, some stupid, crazy individual, that he could get in contact with me, break down the situation, and I would have his back. We both may have different ways of covering the situation, but we both respect each other and understand what rules are and are not being broken. One last thing I want to touch on regarding hardcore fans of Delirious, please understand that I am a hardcore fan of Delirious myself. I've been watching him pretty much from the moment he and Vanos started playing together, which I know was a long ass time ago because Vanoss hadn't deleted his channel's first video yet at that time, which was a video of him playing Kino der Toten with two randoms. That was still on his channel at the time I had started watching him and Delirious. I love his channel, I love his videos, but my love for the guy's content is irrelevant to whether or not he did or didn't do something. My love for his content has no control over that. There is no amount of fandom love in the world to accomplish time travel to go back and make sure something is prevented from happening. It doesn't matter how much you love him. That's not going to change what happened, if anything. We have to accept that there is an investigation going on, and whatever they find, they find. And I highly doubt OHM and those two girls would have let things escalate or get this seriously involved if they didn't have a few things behind the scenes that we don't know about. Understand that there is a very real possibility that Delirious has probably done something wrong. Yes, we have caught OHM backpedaling, cherry-picking, twisting the meaning of words, redefining words to protect himself and straight up contradicting himself, but we also caught Delirious doing some of the same things we were holding OHM accountable for. We caught Delirious saying things that weren't exactly true. We also caught Delirious being very selective in the information he gave out, withholding information that included his involvement in something he was condemning, which again is similar stuff we were holding OHM accountable for. If I am calling OHM out on certain things, I'm not going to look the other way. If Delirious does it as well, I'm going to call him out too, which is what I did in my last video. I'm not going to lie or get defensive for either side. Most of the time, these things aren't black and white anyways. Most of the time, both sides are giving a little bit of truth with a little sprinkle of bullshit. Remember in high school when two people would have drama or beef and they both had their side, and at the end of it all, turns out neither of them were telling the whole truth. It turns out they were both presenting their own version of the truth, which included some twists and turns and a little white lies in order to protect themselves. That shit doesn't stop after high school. And between OHM and Delirious, I'd say on both of their sides, there is enlightening details we have yet to see. Whatever the truth is, it's already happened. You can't change what the truth already is by hoping for your own predetermined outcome. So please stop with the devil's advocate routine that's only predicated on what scenario you find to be convenient to what you want to believe. For example, I show that the majority of Delirious's fans are men, and the majority of people who buy his merchandise are also men, but when you look at the merchandise posts that he likes, the majority of those are the ones posted by females, and the majority of that are the ones of selfies, and the majority of the selfies are of very young females. And out of the minority of posts that he likes that belong to men, half of them are literally just posts of the merchandise itself that just happened to have been posted by men. Going through all of those likes, I could not deny you were more likely as a Delirious fan to get his attention if you were a fairly young female fan who posted a selfie. And I even stated this is not evidence of any kind, but it does show that correlation of a possible fixation strongly tied to not just his female fans, but young female fans. People came out of the woodwork saying, no, it's a marketing strategy. Young females help you sell merchandise. I then pointed out that these are likes and not retweets. Most of the time, likes are just seen between you and the person whose post you liked. Then there were people saying, well, when you like something, some people actually do get to see it on their timeline. And other people said he probably chose selfies because he wants to advertise his merchandise with people wearing his merchandise. Here's the thing. Yes, sometimes your likes get shown to some people who follow you, but if you really want to advertise to everybody, you retweet that shit. Let's be real. And to say that it's just a coincidence that the majority of the selfies posted that he likes were female, and then to say he only chose selfies because it's better to advertise with, first off, go through his Twitter followers and look at how many of his male fans have bought his merch and posted selfies. It's quite a bit. The girls aren't the only ones posting selfies, not even close, but they're the vast majority of the ones that he pays attention to. It's also pretty hard to believe that he's using his likes as a promotional tactic when retweeting is a much better way to do that, and not to mention some of the posts that he liked were of his younger female fans wearing his merchandise and nothing but their underwear. So if he was trying to use his likes to market to the rest of his followers, you're trying to tell me he was trying to use those images for his marketing as well? I don't think so. Let's face it, there were already posts regarding his merchandise that he was retweeting for the purpose of marketing itself. If you really wanted to use all those liked posts for marketing purposes, he would have retweeted them like the other retweets he actually uses for marketing purposes. You also put a lot more thought into the things you retweet versus the things you like. When you're liking things, your brain is mostly on autopilot and is purely based on what in the moment catches your attention. There's not a lot of thought involved, which makes the list of likes the perfect window into what demographic he's more naturally drawn to. What demographic is more likely to naturally grab his attention and gain a like from him. Now you can go on believing whatever convenient scenario you want to believe to make it not sound as bad as it looks, but I think we all know that the convenient assumption it's some kind of sales or marketing tactic is just hopeful, convenient bullshit. Again, I'm not saying the correlation of this obvious draw to that demographic is proof by any means, but you have to at least admit that the drawn correlation does align with the behavior described in some of the accusations. So if things do come out, we can say, hey, you know what? That kind of lined up. We really shouldn't be as surprised. I'm just saying to look at it in as neutral a possible fashion, but understand what it shows without trying to redefine it because you don't like what it by itself is possibly showing. And really think about what's going to happen if certain things turn out to be true. Not all of them, but let's say enough of them where you're like, yeah, Delirious really messed up. In the face of real evidence, if and when it's presented, are you still going to try to defend Delirious by making excuses about it? Or are you still going to try to twist it into some convenient story or scenario of circumstance that you just imagined and pulled out of your own ass because you're hoping you can use that story to convince people it's not as bad as it really looks? Or are you going to be that person, if certain things or enough things turn out to be true, you're going to accept the facts as they come, rather than making excuses for someone else's mistakes just because you watch their videos? If things go in that direction, what person are you going to be? Just please think about that. And if things do turn out to be true, that doesn't let Ohm off the hook for the things that he screwed up or the times that he hurt his own credibility, in turn hurting the credibility of the stories that he was presenting. This isn't an either or situation. We know that his motives aren't pure. We know that it's a vendetta. You go all the way back to when this started. Before he started going after Delirious, he was going after other members of the Vanoss crew and was trying to use Delirious' story without his permission. And then when Delirious said, no, you don't get to use my story, he then tried to hold that against Delirious. And there are tons of people, including Cyan, who have said, yes, Ohm uses other people's stories, including her stories, to get what he wants or to get clout or to get revenge. He doesn't care about who he is using. Another obvious sign that he cares more about his own personal vendetta than actually getting justice for these victims is when representing these victims and being their voice and saying he's all in it for the justice for them, he was also posting videos where Delirious was talking about how much money he makes and saying, look at this douchebag. Or he posted a video of Delirious using a gay slur years ago. Look at this douchebag. It was all a character assassination more than getting any justice for anybody. It was a personal vendetta from the get-go. He also claimed that he wasn't building up dirt on his friends, but he had a private message with Delirious where he showed 2 videos that were unlisted on his channel where he had compiled clips and footage to hold against members of the Vanoss crew. Seems he was possibly setting up for a premeditated attempt at blackmail, or at least using those videos as some type of leverage, which is blackmail. But altogether, again, it's obvious that this is a vendetta. But that doesn't mean that over the course of the last couple of months, he hasn't befriended Sai or Sarah. It doesn't mean that even if his motives were purely his own in the beginning, that he hasn't really started caring for Sarah and Sai's story. I'm sure by now he is emotionally invested and truly does want to see them get justice for the things he believed happened to them. But that doesn't change who Ohm really is and his true core motives to begin with. So again, if Delirious is found guilty of anything, that doesn't take away from the truth regarding Ohm's motives and how he is still a piece of shit person posing as a virtuous hero. But for the sake of understanding without condoning, let's consider something very real. YouTubers get a lot of power very quickly, especially ones like Delirious, who in his early 20s started gaining hundreds of thousands of subscribers within a few months' time. That's a lot of attention from a lot of fans, including a lot of girls who were of age and not of age, sending him pictures. That's how it all started with Louis, for example. And if you're the type of guy who gets way too excited way too easily, how Delirious has, in his own words, described himself, it was probably very easy to get caught up in the moment or just go with the flow without realizing what you may be setting yourself up for in the future, what damage you may be causing. Let's be real about this. That's been shown to be a pretty common reality for a lot of YouTubers. And it's not too far out of the question to think that may have happened to Delirious. In what way exactly? I'm not sure. Are the alleged victim stories accurate to every key detail? Probably not. Is there a chance that there are some details in their stories that are true? I'd say probably, yeah. Sarah showed private messages she had with Delirious proving that they knew each other, unlike what Delirious first claimed. And when he was flirting between her and some other girl, she had a message from Delirious that said, hey, I'm single, I can do what I want. So yeah, her claim isn't completely lacking any type of evidence that she met with Delirious and Delirious probably flirted with her. So yes, there's probably some keynotes within both of their testimonies that do hold some truth. All I'm saying is to understand and accept all possibilities, understand that you don't have to pick either side. And after seeing the backpedaling and contradictions and cherry picking from both sides, it's probably best not to pick sides right now anyways. And like I've stated before, I feel like when all of the information finally comes out, there's going to be a few twists and a few turns, and it's going to end up being bigger than just Ohm, Delirious, Sai, and Sarah. There's going to be a lot of shock, a lot of disappointment, and it's probably not going to be all in all what we think we already know or expect. Again, the proper mindset is to just be hopeful that the truth, whatever it is, comes out. Not your truth, not the truth that you want it to be, just the truth. And we should also hope that any justice that is deserved is received. And even though I can't stop you, I would prefer that you don't really pick a side yet. When I saw how shitty Ohm was handling this stuff in the beginning, you could see that I was very angry with him. I definitely felt like Delirious was more of the victim than anything, but I still kept my mind open to the possibility that, hey, if there are victims out there, I hope that the truth comes out for them. That's how you need to approach these things mentally. Anyways, that's it for my video. I know I probably, pissed off a few people, and that's totally fine. I still like to see you guys talking in the comments, discussing the situation, and if you have any legitimate information yourself that could possibly shed light on any unforeseen details, hit me up on Twitter, post it down in the comments. I will do my best to research and validate your claim, and once validated, add it to the pool of collective information regarding this whole debacle. So again, that's all I've got. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Keep the conversation going, and I will catch you guys next time.